remember now those childhood days gone by. You woke up with the morning sun. It was warm and alive and fun. I'm a roll, don't turn around, I'm a roll.
Hello friends, fans and enemies, welcome to another Zane-Destiny video. This will be a video talking about the pre-release tournament rules for BT07 and also little advice and tidbits here that might be useful to you. So what is sealed format? So basically your sealed format, you'll be given a collection of booster packs, and from those booster packs you'll be needed to make a deck and then you participate in a tournament. So participation for this particular BT7, you'll be getting a Aero Veedramon 0 and an Ulforce Veedramon 0 card. If you manage to win a tournament, you'll also get an additional foil version of these cards, so potentially you could get 2 of each, and that will look pretty decent in all fairness. They're not great cards, but you know, give it a go, it's a nice thing to have. So how does the tournament work? Normally participation costs around £25. You'll be given 6 booster packs. Each booster pack will have 12 cards, so that's 72 cards. With those 72 cards you need to make a 40 card deck, including 0 to 5 Digi-Eggs. You're not restricted to the 4 card limit. So what I mean by that is, in BT7 there's a Digimon called Tasmon, and normally in standard format you're only allowed a maximum of 4 copies of him. If you manage to pull more than 4 copies in a sealed format though, you're able to use all those copies that you have. So you're not restricted in that sort of regard, so that's a good thing. It will be Swiss rules, so as you win, stronger the opponents there, potentially. There will be side decking, they call it sideboards in here, but it's basically side decking. So as long you can exchange cards between games, but as long as the main deck stays to 40, you can side deck as much as you like. You do keep the cards, and specific game rules is you're not restricted by color requirements for Digivolutions, for standard Digivolutions I should point out. So what do I mean by that? Well, they actually give an example here. So for a red level 3 Digimon, to digivolve into a red level 4, well, it can only digivolve into a red level 4, that's it. In this particular seal format, as long as the levels are correct, you can digivolve into any color. So you can do a red level 3 digivolving into a green level 4. The only caveats are, to use option cards you need to meet color requirements, so you either need to have a particular tamer, digitamer or Digimon in play that meets the color requirement. Also, some cards that actually specify a certain color, you must meet those requirements. So there are some level 4 hybrid Digimon that says, for example, digivolves from a yellow tamer. In order to digivolve from a tamer, the tamer has to be yellow. So bear that in mind when deck building. So option cards and cards that specify colors, you must meet those requirements. Aside from that, you can digivolve on whatever you like. You're not restricted to that. So the name of the game is BT7. I'm just going to switch screens quickly. I'll talk about these cards as I go through. I'm also going to be discussing sort of like hot picks or top bits of advice. So BT7 is going to be known as a hybrid format. So this is going to maximize on the potential of digivolving from tamers into Digimon, and each color has its own like win condition or progression. I mean, you'll have the usual yellow recovery, red with deletion, purple with like some sort of strange trash or retaliation effects. But the beauty of this sealed format is you're not restricted by colors. So there's going to be some cards that you're going to be playing that you're going to think you wouldn't normally play, but it will be ideal in this format. Not only this, I think it's much more worth speaking about the commons, the uncommons and the rares. Some of the super rares and secret rares you kind of, well, it's probably not worth discussing, because to get the maximum effect of them you're going to need multiple copies, and bear in mind you're going to have 6 booster packs. The chances of you pulling sort of like a play set of secret rares is very, very slim, so that's something to bear in mind. So the best way I think to make a roughly consistent deck is to be looking at the commons, uncommons and rares. So if we start off with what I like to call the generic lot, these things I think, these particular Digimon I think is what you can splash into nearly every single deck without any worry, just to build up your numbers, but also the fact that they're reasonably tempo efficient with good DP values, and a couple of them do have some interesting effects, and I'll go through them now. So if we start off with level 3, there's not many great level 3 options. I think there's 2 reasonably good viable options, but this one, Toyagamon, I think is really good. Not only is it a play cost of 2, which is good because there's not many memory fixing tamers in this format bar 1, and even then I think that memory fixing tamer is not going to get used. So memory is going to be key, and this guy can be played for 2. He's got 3000 TP, which is nothing to cry about. That's pretty decent. And he digivolves for 0, which is also good. He's also red, and there's a red option card that's kind of decent in this format. Well, that will be decent in this sealed format. So good level 3. I'd say if you've got multiple copies of him, put them all in. Same thing with Shellmon. He is a level 4, and he could digivolve into Toyagamon for this particular format. He is 2 to digivolve. 6k DP, nothing spectacular, but he has a play cost of 4. So again, he's memory efficient. If you're left with 3 memory, you play him for 4, you leave an opponent with 1 memory, and no matter what they play, they're going to be passing their turn over. He is a blue card, and unfortunately most of the blue choices that I'm picking doesn't really involve blue all that much, but I'll get into that later. Tuskmon, kind of the same sort of reason. He is 5k DP, but he has a particular effect that when digivolving into him, one of your Digimon gets plus 2000 DP for the turn. Doesn't necessarily have to be another Digimon, it could be him. So you can make him a 7k DP hard attacker. Of course, to get to that effect, you have to digivolve from a level 3 into him, but even if you can't, you can play him for 4. That's good efficiency. Something I'm probably not overly keen about, but the fact that he is a 2 cost of digivolve, is Monochromon, only because of his 8k DP, which is decent. But the thing is, he has a play cost of 6, so he's probably lower on the spectrum of like high DP value Digimon, but he's good to have. Especially there is a green option card that's probably worth looking into. Brachiomon. Don't hard play him for 7 because that would be ridiculous, but he is a Digivolution cost of 3 and he's level 5 and he has 10k DP. Good standard numbers, I'd say. Triceramon, unfortunately he's lacking in a DP requirement, but he is a green Digimon. Play cost of 6, which is good, and he's only a Digivolution cost of 2, so he's cheaper than Brachiomon. I'd say he's practically better than Monochromon for the same play cost. Only thing is, he is less a DP, but it allows you to get to your level 6s even faster, and there's one particular level 6 I'm interested in, who is also a common. This is something to consider. Commons and uncommons are obviously easier to get than rares, super rares, etc. So you've got more of a chance of getting more of these particular cards, which means you'll be able to build a slightly more consistent deck. But yeah, Saberleomon. His effect, when digivolving, this Digimon gets plus 5000 for the turn. He becomes 15,000 just by digivolving into him, and he's only a 3 cost digivolve, which is pretty good. His initial DP isn't great, but he's kind of more of a swing, and hopefully he gets deleted. Why do you want him to get deleted? Well, he has a non-deletion effect where you gain 2 memory. If you've swung, and let's say you've given your opponent 1 memory and they delete him, it goes back to your turn, because when he gets deleted you get 2 and it will go back to your turn being 1. So something to consider. I'd say he's good consistency. He's not going to be a boss monster, definitely not, but he's sort of like, he's like a one and done attacker, and if he survives another turn you can just make him swing again and give yourself more memory if he gets deleted. It's not, there's no harm in playing Saberleomon. I'd say if you're able to get 2 of them, you're pretty much golden. And again, he's a green Digimon as well. So if I move on, this section here is what I like to call the hybrids. Well, they are hybrids, but there's 2 different categories. I got the what I like to call the more vanilla hybrids, which is at the top here, and you've got the triple changes, and I'll get to the reason why I call them triple chambers later. So all of these Digimon, including the triple changes, have the requirement of you can digivolve from a tamer to the specific coloured Digimon for a play cost of like 2 or whatever reduced cost. So unfortunately, to play like, for example, Kumamon, you will need a blue tamer to digivolve into him. And unfortunately, it's going to be quite, not difficult, but you might get stuck not getting a tamer that you want, especially with the correct colour requirements. So in this particular case, I think the vanilla hybrids might be a better choice because they can digivolve from a level 3 for a digivolution cost of 2, and they still majority of the time can get a digivolving effects. So for Kumamon, trash 1 digivolution card from the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon. Probably not going to be a consistent play factor in this particular format because you're not going to be running enough of those Digimons that share or benefit from that effect. But the fact that he's a 5 cost, 2 digivolving is pretty good, and he's a hybrid, so that's something to consider. But he's only 4k DP, so not the best selection. My preferable one, and I'll get to reasons why later, is Kazemon. Of course, you need a yellow tamer, but more DP. And again, same reason, she's a hybrid. You can digivolve from level 3 for 2. So that's a good one. BT07. This is an interesting one because he's the only vanilla, I like to call, that's play cost of 6. And he's only got 5k DP. But he has an interesting digivolving effect that you can reveal the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, add 1 Digimon card with hybrid, and 1 involving that tamer. But I kind of like his digivolving to reveal the top 5 cards because that's a bit of searching, that is. And you want to search as many hybrids as you can, and it's a generic hybrid. It doesn't say it has to be a green, so you can pick up one of these other ones that you'd like. Grumblemon, he's just a vanilla. He's basically Kazemon, but if you have him, probably worth playing him. And Lauimon's exactly the same, another vanilla. Of course, now we're going to get on to the triple changes. Why do I call them triple changes? Well, they've got 3 ways to digivolve into them. So, for example, with Burning Greymon, you can either digivolve from level 3 for 3 costs, which is quite high for going from a 3 to a 4, or you can digivolve from a level 4 for 1 cost, or as it has here, that if you have a red tamer, so if you have the red tamer digivolve into this guy, it will be a cost of 2, which is the same as these. So all of these triple changes have the same play cost to digivolve for a cost of 2 from a tamer as these guys. I'm probably not wording that correctly. Basically, from level 3 it's 3, from level 4 it's 1, from a tamer it's 2. So similar effects, but they've got extra benefit effects. So for Burning Greymon, if a tamer with hybrid in its traits or Takuya is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 4000 DP or less. That can happen, but I'm not sure it's going to be very tempo efficient. But then again, he is a red Digimon. He can play the option, well, help you play the option cards for later. Kendo Garurumon. I'm not going to read through the top. I'm just going to read it when digivolving. If a card with hybrid in its traits or respective tamer is in its Digivolution cards, this Digimon gains jamming. Not bad. I mean, it's always good to attack security without any worry, so I think this might be an okay pick. Plus, again, he's hybrid. Kurikakumon, if has hybrid or Tommy, one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards can attack or block until the end of the turn. So he does play with Kumamon, but I don't know if it's going to be consistent enough to get that effect off. I personally wouldn't be too fussed about getting these. Zephyrmon. It's a good card, but in this particular format it's not really great. So if a card with hybrid in its traits or Zoe is in this Digimon's Digivolutions, all your security Digimon gets plus 3000 for the turn, which that can be good, but I think the only benefit of her is digivolving on top of one of your other level 4s, because the chances of you opening enough Zoes in your booster packs is quite limited, so her versatility is quite limited. Same thing with all these other triple changer tamers, to tell the truth, because in order to get the best benefit out of them, you ideally want to digivolve from a tamer into those named tamers. And yeah, that's probably going to be slightly difficult. So I say your best option would be just digivolving for a cost of 2 off of a level 3, off of a tamer if you got it, or digivolving on top of one of these level 4s. So it might end up being that these level 4s are vastly superior to use. And if you do have these triple change level 4s, digivolve on top of them to get an extra effect. So maximize on these vanillas. These guys can just be like an extra draw power for Digivolution cost of 1. So anyways, carry on. Beetle when digivolving, I'm going to skip the hybrid and tamer. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon with 6k or less. That basically means he can suspend any other hybrid and either attack over it or so he doesn't get blocked. But unfortunately there's not many blockers in this format, but I will probably talk about them. To tell the truth, blockers are probably not going to be that important in BT7 format anyway. Jaeger Lawimon, going to skip all that. It basically the Digimon gains retaliation until the end of your opponent's next turn. So if this guy is suspended and your opponent attacks into it, they're going to get retaliation, of course, but he can also retaliate into bigger bodies, so decent enough. But like I said, these triple changes are probably not going to be that tempo efficient. Probably one run or two if you got them. If you do have the respective tamer and you think you can get into them quite quickly, then run the respective colour. So for example, if you got Zoe, use Zephyrmon. That way, if you do have Zoe in the field, at least Zephyrmon can digivolve from her for a cost of 2. But most of the time you're going to be maximising on these guys, and in all fairness, I'm pretty certain that all these cards are either uncommon, well, Zephyrmon's uncommon, but majority of these guys are just common, so you're going to have a pretty decent chance to get a lot of them. Yeah, so again, I'd say maximize on these guys first, the vanilla hybrids. Unfortunately, Red's missed out a little because Red's had vanilla hybrids released beforehand. Same thing with Blue, because normally Blue would have one more. But yeah, these guys first and a couple of these guys. But again, you're not restricted by color requirements, so you could run as many of these guys as you want. As long as the levels match, you're golden. So we're going to move on. So to supplement our hybrid packages, we're going to need some fast ways to get into our deck in order to look for these hybrids. And I just realized I probably missed out something, but it'll be later on in the video. So the best way to search up some hybrids would be Bokomon. What is he? Well, he's a dude that you hard play him for 3, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 hybrid in its form or 10 warriors in its type, and 1 tamer amongst them. So you can add 2 cards potentially. If you've got the tamers, great, smash them in, and of course you're going to be running enough hybrids anyway. Also, not only that, when your tamer digivolves into a Digimon, you gain 2 memory. So what I was saying before about digivolving for a cost of 2 from the respective tamer, well, that initially becomes free. And if I remember rightly again, I don't think there's any memory gaining blockers in BT7. Correct me if I'm wrong, but even then, this is still pretty good. So he's going to be your best bet in order to find your hybrids actually. Next, another good one is Zoe. So she is a tamer, but she's got the great effect that, of course, if she comes from security, you get to play her for free. But if you play her, you get to search your security stack for a hybrid or 10 warriors in its traits, and it's to your hand. If you do, you get to recover. Also, it's a you may effect, so you don't have to trigger this if you don't want to. She does have an inheritable, but we're not too fussed about that because I think the likelihood of pulling off this inheritable is quite slim because you need to digivolve into a yellow hybrid Digimon, which could be quite slim. But the fact that she can pull hybrids from your security stack to put in your hand in order to digivolve onto your level 3s or even just hard play them if you do have to, means you're going to be getting bodies on the floor, on the board, which is good. Flamemon and Strabimon, I'm just going to read one of these, but they practically do the same thing. You reveal the top 4 cards of the deck, add 1 hybrid, Susanamon and a Takuya, or in this case it'll be, I think it's a Koji in this case. Yeah, it's a Koji in Strabimon's case. Add into your hand and place, so again, they reveal the top 4 and you can add like 1 of those, so it's not as great as Bokomon, but it's just an extra chance of searching. And because again it's a, well, this is a rare, I think they're both rare, so you're probably a little less likely to pull them. Same with Zoe, she's a rare as well. Pokemon is a common, I believe. Yeah, it's a common, so it's you probably got a good chance to get at least 2 or 3 of these guys, maybe even a play set if you're lucky. Again, that would be more search power. Another interesting one is BT07. So he's level 4. This one you ideally want to Digivolve on top of the Tamer, but you're not going to be able to. But he still has a, as I stated before, when Digivolving reveal top 5, add a hybrid in its form. So he's another form of searching. Plus he's level 4 as well. So you've got ways to search out your hybrids, and you probably you need that because you want to dig through your deck as quick as possible, I feel. Of course, it recycles the cards as well, so they're not going to get trash or anything like that, which is great. Moving on, so now we're going to go talking about the top picks from each particular color, at least my top picks. So Takuya, he's okay, only because of his ability to, well, probably my worst pick actually. I'm not even sure why I put him on there. If you do get Emperor Greymon, you could pull off his effect, but I think the likelihood of that happening is quite slim. But not only that, he is a red tamer, so you can Digivolve him into one of the red, into Burning Greymon for a cost of 2. And you could also get his deletion effect as well. So he's only good for that, so he's definitely not the best pick, but he's probably the top pick in that. Toragamon and Flamemon and Tuskmon I've already spoken about, especially Brachiamon. Aldermon, interesting, very interesting one. So ideally you want to Digivolve from Takuya for 2. I guess that's why Takuya is here now, because he's cheap. So when one of you Digivolves the Tamer cards and its Digivolution cards, Digivolves into. So actually, rereading this now, you probably won't need Takuya at all, because it says, first effect, when one of your Digimon that has a Tamer card in its Digivolution cards Digivolves into this card, you can reduce the memory cost by 2. Because we're not restricted by color requirements, you could easily do this from another color. So, and why would you want to Digivolve into this guy? So as long as the card has hybrid as its traits in its sources, this Digimon gets plus 4,000 a turn. He becomes a 12k beat stick for a level 5. So you can even go from like a yellow level 4 into this guy. If that yellow level 4 had a Tamer, it gets reduced to a play cost, Digivolution cost of 1. So good tempo efficiency. The likelihood of pulling this off is again quite slim, because you're restricted by how many Tamers you're able to pull and how many of those Tamers you're able to Digivolve into their same color Digimon. So a good thing to note, take advantage of. But I'd say you're able to pull off at least half of the effect, because most likely you're going to be Digivolving from a hybrid. So even if you don't get the reduced play Digivolution cost from having a Tamer in its sources, you are most likely going to get the hybrid. It still means it will cost 3 to Digivolve, but 12,000 DP for a level 5, you know, I'll buy that for $1, you know. Okay, and also it's an inherent effect that it ignores, well, it becomes a delicate plan, but, well, likelihood of pulling that off to level 6, you'll have to see. Of course, like I mentioned, Emperor Greymon, he has Blitz. That's my only reason to be playing him, so you don't necessarily need to have a hybrid or a Tamer as a sources to get that effect. He Digivolves for 4, Blitz, you'll Blitz for game, basically. This is the red option card I've been alluding to, so its effect is delete up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or less, so it's not combined. As long as it's 8,000 DP, it'll get deleted. So good for that, especially the number of facts of, well, number of chances of playing red Digimon is quite good, especially with Toyagamon. Just delete your opponent's Digimon 8,000 DP or less. Quite a lot of these do have less than 8,000. Moving on to blue, we've got Tommy. His effect just basically on play trash 3 Digivolutions bottom one of your opponent's Digimon. Again, it's probably not going to be enough synergy if you're doing a seal format, but good to have. Strabimon, I've already talked about him, as well as Shellmon. Kendo Garurumon, I kind of glanced over him, but yeah, you can Digivolve from a blue Tamer for a pretty good price, as well as Korikakamon. With no Digivolution cards. Actually, did I talk about these? No, I sort of like glanced over them, but yeah, they've got their own ways. If they Digivolve from a Tamer, they cost 2. Daipenmon. This is a funny one. So I liked its when Digivolve in effect. It's level 5, but for each Digimon your opponent has with no Digivolution cards, draw 1. So that kind of does play with the source removals, but the efficiency of pulling that off is quite difficult. But opponent's turn, while a card with hybrid in its trace is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, none of your opponent's level 3 Digimon can attack. So it's a rookie rush blocker. You're going to be very likely Digivolving from a hybrid, as long as you follow like the hybrid. Well, you're going to be Digivolving from a hybrid, so he can block rookies. So that's why he's probably something to consider. Beowulfmon, this one's more like, I guess you can say recursion. So when attacking, you may return one Digimon with hybrid in its traits in this Digimon's Digivolution cards to your hand to return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimons to their hand. So not only do you be able to get one of your hybrid Digimon back to be able to potentially Digivolve onto something else, possibly a tamer, then swing for game, but you also bounce back one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So it's a bit of recursion, but also a bit of a bounce destruction or removal, we'll say. Option card for blue. So for the turn, one of your Digimon gets plus 3000 DP, which is good, and it can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with no Digivolution cost. So again, plays into the source removal, boost DP regardless, so you don't have to Digivolve into attack into unsuspended, but it's nice to have that option. Yellow. So I wanted to like this. I've already spoken about Zoe, Vanilla Kaze, and Zephyrmon. I'm going to be moving on to Jet Selfie. So what does Jet Selfie do? So her cost gets reduced even further if there's a tamer in the sources. But the best thing about her is if you Digivolve from a hybrid, you get to recover 1. There's no clause, like no restrictions. You can just recover 1 regardless. I'll get into more detail about that later, but you're going to be Digivolving from a hybrid. You know, I'd say about 70 to 80% of the time, you're going to be pulling this effect off. And 7k DP isn't too bad. These cards are basically BT07, basically. Probably not in sealed format, but yeah, if you're able to pull Jet Selfie, I'd definitely consider taking her in. Green has some interesting options. I have gone over these a few times. So you got Beetlemon for the searching. You've got this Metal Kabuterimon. So he has that reduced cost when Digivolving with a tamer. But when Digivolving, if a card with hybrid in its traits, or JP, is in this Digimon's Digivolution, suspend one of your opponent's 6k. I think I've already spoken about this guy actually. So he suspends 6k DPs. So you can just run something over that you think is going to cause you hassle. Or if you think the opponent has something that's going to Digivolve from it that's going to cause you trouble. So it gets rid of upper bodies by crashing into him. Spoke about Monocro, spoke about Tricera, spoke about Leo. This guy, Dino-Rexmon. When Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon that Digimon doesn't unsuspend during the unsuspend phase. So normally on your opponent's turn they have an unsuspend phase, they get to active all their Digimon. This guy stops that. He is a 4 cost to Digivolve into, but the thing is, he's kind of similar to Metal Kabuterimon to get rid of threats. So something that you might think might swing into you, do a few extra checks, or even something that's going to be quite nasty that might cause you some harm, you can sort of like pull out of the way for a little while. Also on your turn, this Digimon gets 1000 DP for each of your opponent's suspended Digimon. To be honest, when you Digivolve into it, you're probably passing turn, but you're suspending a threat for a turn until you can sort of like get something back. Ancient Beetlemon. This is the only ancient that I think I'm actually talking about. So, your turn, once per turn, when one of your Digimon with 10 warriors in its type or hybrid in its form deletes an opponent's Digimon and survives a battle, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So, as I said, you've got some quite high beat sticks. Probably not all of them are hybrid, but Digimon is deletes it. Yeah, but the fact that you can trash a security stack by crashing in one hybrid into another, and as long as it survives, that's okay. And of course, if it gets deleted, you can get play level 4 or lower, a green level 4 or lower hybrid. But yeah, I think Ancient Beetlemon might be okay to look into, but not endgame. So what I was discussing about playing some greens, this would be the reason for it. So you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then place this card in your battle area. So basically this is green's delay. But the fact that it suspends one of your opponent's Digimon as well, you could potentially, if you had the memory, play this, suspend, attack into something. If you had Ancient Beetlemon going off as well, well, even better, so you can trash the security as well. Not only that, it gets you extra memory for an extra turn. For the next turn, which again, gaining memory is going to be quite difficult in BT7. Alright, moving on to purples. Purple's kind of like an outlier in this because it feels like it's got its own synergies going on. So, Koichi, I believe, his on players draw one, trash one. Not helpful in hybrid. Ghostmon, I think he's another good level 3. Yeah, unfortunately you digivolve from Digitama for a cost of 1, but you still hard play for free, and he's got 5k DP, which is nothing to, well, be ashamed about. That's a pretty reasonably good number. Scat Mode. So this guy's going to make Lilithmon, but he's not going to, him and Eismon probably not going to have, well actually no, they're probably going to be okay in sealed format. So this guy is draw 3 cards on deletion and trash 2. Sounds kind of strange, but I'll get into it a bit later. Lauimon, I've spoken about him, he's a vanilla hybrid. Eismon, when you trash this card in your hand using one of your effects, if Eismon's scatter mode is in your trash, you may play this card without paying its cost. Your turn, for each scatter mode in your trash, it gains 2000. So remember scatter mode, his deletion effect is draw 3 and trash 2. Scatter mode's in trash on that deletion effect, and you draw into 3 of those cards are 2 Eismon. You trash both those Eismon, you get to play both those Eismon. Yeah, you won't be able to attack that turn, but because there's one scatter mode in trash, they'll be getting an extra 2000. There'll be 7k 7k DP Digimon. So your next turn, they're going to be a potential threat, especially if you're able to maximize, say with Koichi, draw 1, trash 1, more Eismon on the field, meaning more bodies on the field, meaning more swarming, means your opponent's going to have to deal with them. So 3 level 4 plays always a good thing. Scatter mode allows you to go through your deck. Not only that, they're both commons, I believe. Yeah, they're commons, so the chances of getting them in 6 booster packs are quite high. Is that the same with Ghostmon as well? So purple seems to feel like it's got its own synergies going on. Jaeger Lowy, I've already spoken about him. Rihimon, I don't know why I did that. So he does have a, you do get to reduce his cost if the sources have a tamer, but a card with hybrid in its form, Digimon, you can play 1 purple tamer from your trash without paying its memory cost. Not great synergy, but if you did have a Koichi, you could like use him to get him back or something, just to maximize on your scatter modes. Orochimon, this is going to be a fun one. So level 5. If you trash him from an effect, similar to like how Eismon is, you get to draw a card. So you get to draw more, which is always good. Also inherited, when attacking once per turn, you can trash a card in your hand to gain a memory. That also synergizes really nicely with level 6 Nidhoggmon. So Nidhoggmon, if this card is trashed from your hand, you gain a memory. So just imagine that, combining that with Orochimon, you'll be able to gain 2 memory. Also, when digivolving, you may trash a card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So if Nidhoggmon was on Orochimon, you'll be able to get that 1 memory. If you trash an Eismon and you got scatter mode and trash, well, hello, look, you've just played an Eismon. So I really like this little synergy that Purple has going with the tamer, the level 4s, the level 5, and the level 6. Really nice. So Ancient Sphinxmon. So when digivolving, you may delete one of your Digimon with 10 warriors or hybrid in its traits to delete one of your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal to the deleted Digimon. On deletion, you may play a 1 purple level 4. Not a fantastic pick, but if, say for example, you had an Orochimon on the field, or no, actually no, it will have to be a hybrid, so Rihimon. you can delete a level 4 or lower. So good spot removal, basically. It's not too bad, not too excellent. This thing's a common. What is it? So Schwarzlizards, I believe it's Schwarzlizards or something. So main, for each Digimon with hybrid in its traits and tamer you have in play, delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. So we all know the likelihood of getting tame is probably not that great. You're probably going to get 1 out of 6 booster packs, maybe more if you're lucky. But the amount of hybrids that you can potentially get is quite decent. I would definitely say it's quite decent. You play this thing for 6. Let's say you're able to get like 2 hybrids out and 1 tamer. You're deleting 3 level 5 or lower Digimon. That's level 5 or lower Digimon. That's insane. That's why I was saying if you're able to recover security, probably best, because this thing's a common, so you've got a good chance to at least get 2, maybe 3 of these in 6 booster packs. Moving on to black. Unfortunately, black got shafted basically. But if I did have to mention Kota, his on-play effect is useless, but he is a memory fixer, so you will get 3. I'd say only put him in if you have the space. Aside from that, it's completely useless. But you do have the vanilla level 4 that digivolves from a black tamer, but unfortunately that's Kota. It's not going to be. You're probably not going to digivolve off of him. But then again, color requirements. You could digivolve Grumblemon off of a level 3 if you want. Not sure why you would. And the only official blocker, he is a 3 cost to digivolve. You're not going to be digivolving off of black tamer, let's face it. You'll want that tamer for the memory fixing. Well, actually, if he was a memory fixer, you'll be digivolving off a level 3 for 3 cost of 3, so I guess yeah. But he is a dedicated blocker, 6k. He's the only blocker of the format, but the thing is, you saw earlier where there was delete things with 8,000 or less, or suspend 6k. I don't think it's going to be worth playing a blocker, unfortunately. This guy's Gigasmon is useless. So now we move on to what can I say, a deck that I would like to aim for. So I'd say any Digi Eggs you get, play any of them. Anything you get is awesome. I will say that Kapurimon's probably the best one, because it's either a tamer in play, you get an extra to 1000. The other ones don't seem to synergize that great, but any eggs you got, play them, because that's a free Digivolution. Because don't forget, you're not restricted by color. Of course, I would like to have 4 Ghostmon. I mean, he is a common, so there's a good chance of that. But not only that, 3 cost to hard play, 5k DP is great. I've already praised Toyagamon for a similar sort of thing, but he's tempo memory efficient. Bokomon, again a common, and he's also able to search my hybrids. Shellmon, for the simple fact of you can play him for 4 if I am sort of like stuck on like memory or even rookies, because I've only got 10 rookies. And again, normally you wouldn't be able to digivolve Bokomon over anything, but color requirements not necessary. Tuskmon, for the fact of he's a 4 cost, but he also could boost himself or another person up to another Digimon to 2000, so good hard hitter. Kazemon, generic Digivolver, so she can Digivolve from a level 3 for a cost of 2, or from a tamer if I do have it. 5k DP isn't nothing to swing at. Zephyrmon, I don't particularly want to Digivolve from a level 3 because it's a bit too much, but if I did have the Zoe tamer, which ideally I would like to have, then it costs 2. But then again, I do have a lot of level 4s, mainly Shellmon and Tuskmon, so I could Digivolve Zephyrmon on top of them, because ideally I want to get as many hybrids in play as possible. So Digivolving for a cost of 1 over a level 4 is great. Beowulfmon, he's basically the form of removal, so I can add a hybrid back to my hand. Oh look, I could add Zephyrmon or Kazemon back to my hand to basically bounce level 4 on my opponent's side. Same thing with Aldermon, where this one, if you have a hybrid in the sources, you get an extra 4000, so that's decent for that attack power. And Jet Selfie, I believe these 3 were uncommons as well, actually. That's why I've only put like 2 of each. I tried to sort of like suss like what are the chances of me getting some of these cards. But yeah, Jet Selfie is basically if I got a hybrid recover 1. So even though I'm playing a lot of these generic level 4s, I put in an extra few hybrids to either digivolve into Kazemon, no problem, or put Jet Selfie on top of these generic level 4s. So that way, if I do digivolve into these level 5s, I can at least get the hybrid effect off. And the big boy got Saber Leomon, nice, you know, good high DP attack power, and Dino Rexmon, he is the rare, so a potential stalling. I did put in H and Beetlemon because I thought it was funny, but I would be relying on him. Definitely Schwarz-Lizards, because of its ridiculous effect, and if you got a few Jet Selfies, you could potentially recover it into your security and scare your opponent. Same thing with Gigastorm. I would, considering this is a common as well, 4 of him would be ideal. So delete 2 of the opponent's 8000 DP or less. And 1 of each of these tamers. So why these tamers? So I know I sort of like put down in this guy before, but he does delete sources, and if your opponent is able to get some great inheritance going on, putting him down just makes him, you know, decent enough. But unfortunately I don't have any level 4 hybrids to digivolve from him, so he would be a one and done. Zoe would probably be my ideal choice because I can actually use her to search into my security and potentially digivolve with her, and that would be, this is, if I'm able to do it, I would like to build something similar to this, but this will be my ideal deck. So this is where things start getting funny. So almost the same sort of setup, but slightly less rookies, I believe. I'm not sure now. Yeah, only 1 less. Not too bad, I think. Yeah. So didn't look too much on Ghostmon. Of course, maximize Toriago and Pokemon. Now I put in the Scat Mode stuff. So I would really want to get this effect off of even just hard playing for 4. That's still pretty good. I could swing with him, or the opponent can delete him. I'm drawing 3 and trashing 2. I really want to get the effect off of maximizing Eismon, so I can swarm the field with Eismon if I could. 1 Tussmon just for the sake of like cheap play cost or potential good evo. Putting in, well, 1 less Kaze and 1 more Zephyr if I do manage to get enough tamers, which is very unlikely. Beowulfmon, yeah, it's good to have that. Let's see, Jet Selfie just for the silly recovery. Only 2 level 6s because I wouldn't really want to go to level 6s that much. I want my hybrids out more than anything. 3 of these Schwarz-Lizards, which is pretty, yeah. And of course 3 Gigastorm and 3 Zoes. So the idea is to swarm the field of Eismon just to tick off the opponent, or digivolve Zephyrmon on top of Eismon, so that way I can either go into Beowulfmon or Jet Selfie for recovery, and hoping to recover these into security. And Zoe will just sort of like make things a bit more efficient to see what's actually in my security and how I feel about it. So this would be my ideal deck if I could make it, but the chances of that happening is very small. But yeah, that's my take on the BT7 sealed format. I mean, like I said, it's going to be an interesting one. Unfortunately, like, hybrids and way of the game, and with 6 booster packs, the way to pull off most of the hybrid packages is going to be pretty difficult. I think purple has the most versatility, although it's kind of like closed versatility, so only certain cards will synergize with each other. Black unfortunately got the short end of the stick. Green has some interesting techs and choices. Definitely Saber Leomon's my probably ideal for the level 6, as well as the fact that it has a decent delay card with the suspending. Yellow is going to be okay, but I don't think you're going to be able to maximize on enough, simple fact of that you won't be able to get enough tamers to get the full evolution source out. You'll be able to pull off Jet Selfie, but you won't have the reduced cost of 1. You'll have to play for 3, unfortunately. Blue has some interesting choices, mainly for sort of like its stunning sort of effects. It does synergize with each other, but I think it's not going to be consistent enough. Red seems like a good a good first place contender actually, because most of its cards are generic beat sticks, and it has that pretty amazing option card as well. Like I said, if you're able to get any Digi Eggs, play them all. But if you do have the red Digi Egg, at least this Gigastorm will always be live. But I think the ideal situation is having a bunch of hybrids out and playing like a sort of pseudo security control by using Jet Selfie to recover your destruction option cards, and well, Digivolving Jet Selfie into Saber Leo to swing into their security and do some shenanigans. So yeah, I am looking forward to this BT7 pre-release. So yeah, that's my take on it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it sort of semi-insightful. If there's anything you feel that maybe I've overlooked or maybe I misunderstood or whatever, if you just want to put a comment, feel free to. You know, I'd love to have all sorts of input. I can't wait for BT7 because obviously I want to build the yellow hybrid deck, but I'm really excited to build a purple Lilithmon deck because I've come up, well, I'm probably not the first person to come up with it, but I've got an insane idea that I really want to give a go. And fortunately, all I really need is Eismon. So yeah, to make that work. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, guys. Speak to you next time. Take care. Bye.